All right, welcome everyone. Thanks for listening to Summit Stories. I'm Josh. This is Ben, the co-host, and today we're interviewing John from Good Neighbor Painting.
Steigleder.
Yeah, I was gonna
John
say.
Steigleder.
I was gonna say, can you tell everyone how to pronounce your name? But that kind of works. John, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do. I know that you own a paint company. It's clear because that's on your hat and your shirt. But
And you used to work at it.
that is true. I did.
Yeah, so I'm John Steigleder, owner of Good Neighbor Painting, and this is our 6th year in business in Southern Oregon. My wife grew up in Grants Pass, and we met up in Portland, and I've lived in Southern Oregon about 7 years now, and met you through your dad, Frank Matz. And basically, I was starting up my company, and he said, "Oh, my son could do your logo for you," and you created the rough draft of what is now my logo.
It looks similar to that, but not quite the same.
Yeah, and then within a year or so.
Do I get royalties from that, by the way?
No, absolutely not.
Absolutely.
That was not in the contract. But yeah, about a year later, you were working with me, and
I rose to the top.
the rest is
star
history.
employee.
Yeah, we had to let you go. We had to let you free so that you could fly.
You couldn't afford me anymore.
It's funny. I remember when Ben and I were working at the same company. He's like, "Yeah, this guy is trying to hire me, but I got to get 25 an hour. I got to get a company truck. And no way he'll go for that." And then he comes back the next day. Yeah, he went for that.
Dude, I don't know what I.
What,
Yeah,
you were
at that
smoking?
age, bro, I thought I knew everything, and I'm like, if you're gonna hire me, I want this, and then a month later, I was like, so where's my raise? He's like, what raise?
So I think, if memory serves me, we started you at 20.
Yeah.
And then you were pretty persistent in asking for a raise, and like we could get into many different stories,
Sure.
but the day that he asked me for a raise, we were finishing up a cabinet job that was a stressful cabinet job. There was just a number of things that were like not going.
It was a two-tone cabinet job.
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. And there was just a number of things that didn't go to plan, and we were figuring it out. And it was like in the middle of like business owner, like, we got to get this done. We're just focused on completing this project. Ben was like, so how about that raise? And I think the conversation might have gone something like, let's talk about that later. But eventually, shortly after that, I think you and I talked about, I'll get you that raise, but first you have to go through the Dave Ramsey baby steps.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah. And now anytime Ben pulls up in a new vehicle, he makes sure to tell me that he bought it with cash and no debt. So, I mean, after the like 5 luxury vehicles that he's driven that were like $50,000 vehicles, now he doesn't do that.
To be fair, like, I attest, like, most of my, like, the beginning of my financial literacy and, like, understanding money from that instance, like, I definitely was mad at you for that, but thinking back, like, who would be mad at their boss for paying them to sit at home and watch videos about money, and, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. To, like, better themselves and better their life. Yeah, and so now I just feel like, I don't know why I feel like I have to tell you that, but I just feel like you'd be proud. I don't know, like, oh, finally this kid is not trying to finance a $70,000 truck that's completely useless, like we talked about in the last episode, you know?
Well, I just know myself and the lack of financial literacy that I had as a young man, and, knowing that my whole outlook on money is, I have it, let's spend it on things that we want, right? And realizing, like, man, if I would have just had like any sort of planning for the future or saving towards buying a house or whatever, that how much further that could have gone for me. And so my heart behind it was like, okay, yeah, like I don't mind paying you. You do a good job and you work hard, and you have skills to offer the company, and so I don't mind paying you for that. But I also want to make sure that you're bettering yourself, and that and it's been really cool to know that, like, we had conversations about, dude, if you put $200 in to retirement per month from 20 years old to 30, like, and that's all you did, like, it can grow to this when you're 60. And to my knowledge, you've been doing that.
Yeah, I still have it. Yep.
And so yeah, it's like the seeds are planted, and it's just, you know, big brother looking out for little bro, and it's super cool.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yep. Not trying to be controlling, not trying to be dad and like make sure you do everything that, you know, I would want you to do, but also just like, hey, here's some things to think about and consider it. And it's been really cool to see how you've made decisions that, you know, seemed right to you in the moment, and then how you've grown through that, because, you know, a lot of times when you have that knowledge or that kind of other voice in your head that's like, should I really be doing this? Is this really the smart, you know, long-term decision? Sometimes it takes us multiple decisions of going the other way to be like, actually, this is the best way for me.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's been super cool.
It's pretty interesting because I don't even think you like fully know like the like role that you've played in my life, as far as like not just like financially. Like we literally built Summit off the back of your business. I feel like I've never worked for someone that was like, yeah, you could just like do all these side jobs while you work for me, and then as soon as that takes over, you can just like jump ship and start your own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like our first ever job that kind of just like launched Summit for us, I was working for basically moonlighting.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
We don't have to mention his
No,
name.
we don't. We won't. But like that job, like I was literally going to work full time working for you. Josh was full time working for someone else, and we were spending all of our afternoons, you know, remodeling this person's house.
Mm-hmm.
And like that was one of your previous clients. And then there was like multiple other previous clients that were like, hey, they want this work done, not something I'm interested in doing. You're more than welcome to do that job for them. There's like a post we replaced for, you know, a house in Medford.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But a lot of that was like out of like your grace, and you were like you letting us kind of do that, you know. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think when
You will not be getting any royalties from that either.
No. You know, when I started Good Neighbor Painting, there's many instances that I can look back on and just see how God prepared me for things that were to come, and kind of the way that I approach those, and like my outlook on situations. And one of those was wanting this to be a place where people can come in, young men, and learn some valuable skills and life skills, and receive mentorship, and have it be a springboard into the next thing. Because, you know, in the trades, I talk to contractors all the time that, you know, it's hard to find good workers, and when you do and you invest in training them, they end up leaving in 6 months to a year to go do their own thing, right? And it's a very common story.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to fight that. You know, I don't want, like, it's a reality. Thankfully, like I have not had the experience where it's hard to find good people that want to work. Just, you know, community friends of yours that, you know, you've introduced me to that have ended up working
I think
for
you've
me.
hired like half my friend group.
Yeah. And so at the same time being like, okay, again, like I don't want to be controlling. Like I know in previous employments that I've had where I worked somewhere and I wanted to go do a job, and I wanted some time off to go do that. And they were like, no, you can't have the time off. And I was like, well, that's kind of a make or break for me. Like that was the decision. Like, I'm not going to work for somebody else anymore. I'm going to start my own company. And so same thing, like we paint. That's what we do. We don't have our hands in everything. And so it was a perfect opportunity for me to say, like, yeah, we painted for these people. They want this, and this done. I'm not offering that, and I'm not looking to subcontract it out and, you know, make money on, like, if you guys want it, this is a perfect opportunity for you guys to take care of it. And just that kind of generosity and community cooperation versus like just competitive nature, I've just got to look out for me and mine, has been a blessing for me. And I know that there's other contractors that you and I are friends with that kind of have that same spirit. It's like, how can we all help each other? Because we don't all want to do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
And so that's where it works. It's like, how can I help you? And, you know, I get blessed by your guys' friendship and, you know, collaborating with you guys. And so, yeah, it's been really cool.
I feel like the older contractors see like the employee that they've invested in leaving and starting a different company, in the wrong light. Like they think of it, like you were saying, as a competition.
Or
It's like,
competitor,
this guy's taking my food. And I feel like with you, you've grown in an environment where it's more of like, okay, these guys are an asset now. And same for you with us. Like,
Yeah.
if we're in over our heads on a painting job, or if we need a whole crew to be there, we can always call on you, and you're like, yep, I can make it work. You know, we can figure this out. And I feel like, I don't know, it's just not looked at that very often.
And to be fair, there are situations where, you know, that older contractor who now has that does happen, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
to be fair, that is a reality, and it's like, what are you going to do about it? Like, are you just not, that's where you have to decide, like, am I just going to forever be a one person, you know, business where maybe I have a helper, or am I actually going to grow a business that relies on having employees? And then you have to just deal with the reality of, like, that's the nature of having employees.
Yeah.
And also, not everybody that works for you wants to start their own business, right? Not everybody's in a position to start their own business. As you guys have probably experienced, there's people who have had businesses in the past and they don't want to deal with that anymore. So they just want
I've always looked at those people and was like, why would you not want to own a business? Like the freedom and the financial. And then there's some days I own a business and I'm like, I get it. Like, I finally understand the contractor that's 60 and wants to work for someone for $30 an hour, because they can just like clock in, do what they love, and just go home and not have to worry about anything. They don't have to worry about making sure the job's done on time, or worry about making sure there's money for payroll. Like, I understand that peace of mind.
Or the
like,
marketing and sales and all of it. Yeah. I mean, and so, there's always going to be people that just want to clock in and not have, because you guys know the burden of owning a business and making sure all the pieces are there and making sure the sales are there, making sure you have jobs for your employees to go do, like cash flow, all of it, fees, taxes, all of it. Like it is a burden.
I'm curious, like what your best resources are to deal with that, because like obviously, like Josh and I, there's two of us, so it makes things a little bit less stressful because we can kind of split the stress and the responsibilities two ways. Like, you know, he deals with one thing, I deal with this. So like, how do you, like, I always admire people like you that just do everything themselves. How do you deal with that?
So I found the key is to just let it build up inside until you like have a panic attack and then, you know, realize, oh, okay, it's actually all right. No, just kidding. I mean, I've definitely had the times and the, where I've just been like, dude, why don't I just go get a job flipping burgers or something, making $15 an hour? Like, it'd be, you know, I've had those moments, and I've had the moments where I'm laying in bed with my heart going 100 miles an hour. Like, am I dying of a heart attack right now? No, it's just stress. Okay, cool. So, you know, it's not that we don't know what to do. It's just actually doing it. So you've got to have places where you can kind of set it all down, whether that's, you know, the ability to go home, set your phone down, not look at it, be present with your family, be goofy with your kids, you know, whether that's in the middle of the day. We were talking about how I drive, you know, sometimes a ridiculous amount in a day, to stop at a park and walk around for 45 minutes. And it's amazing what just getting outside and walking around like clears your head. And sometimes it reminds me, oh, I need to call this person, or oops, I forgot about this. Yeah. One thing that has been a roller coaster for me is having some sort of regular exercise or fitness, you know, that I'm doing. I seem to get on a good streak of that, and then we go through some like 2 or 3 weeks of getting sick, and then it knocks me off my routine and I don't get back to it. But it's all the health things of, you know, am I drinking too much caffeine? Am I eating healthy food? Am I getting outside? And am I remembering that like life is more than just this business and what I'm building here? Like, what am I doing this for? Am I doing this for my family? Like, let's make sure I'm enjoying my family. Let's make sure that, you know, we're, you know, taking trips every once in a while, or whatever it is, but just realizing. And then, you know, for me, obviously realizing that none of this exists apart from God's grace and his provision for my life.
Yeah.
And so whenever I'm so caught up in the stress of it, it's like, okay, where am I trying to take control from God? Like, yes, I need to make sure that I am doing what I need to do in my business, but at the same time, I have to keep it all in perspective that He's provided me, this opportunity. He's brought me this far, further than I ever imagined Good Neighbor Painting, going. And for me, and I think for a lot of us and a lot of contractors that I know, it's that faith that I hold my business with an open hand. There's been times where I said, God, if you want to take this, or if you want to shut this down, or if you want to switch directions, if you want me to be doing something else, I'm okay with you taking this from me, right? Mm-hmm. And to this point, He's continued to bless it. He's continued to put me around people that grow my vision. He's continued to provide opportunities. And so we're just continuing to go forward, working towards, those visions.
Yeah, Josh and I talk about that a lot. Like, if God wants us to be here and He wants us to be in construction, like, He's going to continue to provide and take care of us. And if, like, that doesn't happen and He pulls that away, like, we totally understand that he has something else planned for us. Like, maybe this isn't what we're supposed to be doing, So I fully get that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, if God doesn't build a house, then we labor in vain, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we can work ourselves to the bone, but if it's not what we're supposed to be doing, then what's it all for, right?
Yeah. I was going to let you ask the next
I think
question.
that was the profound pause
that
like I get $250 for. Yeah.
Oh, man. I didn't know that your wife grew up in Grants Pass.
Mm-hmm.
Where at?
That's a good question. I should know that. So I know that we lived on her dad's property off of Monument.
That's where you lived when I first met you, right?
Yeah.
The shop out there?
Yeah.
Because there was a tiny home out there, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was a tiny home. There's a mobile that was put out there for, he had some medical stuff happen. Mm-hmm. And so they had a mobile and then an old house on the front. And he's had that house for a long time. And then her mom had a house that I believe she rented off of, somewhere out there. I forget what the name of the road is now. But
out towards Merlin or Hugo.
Mm-hmm. Yep. On the other side of the highway there. And then she also lived in town off of Clover Lawn. So went for a couple years, I think, to Grants Pass High and then Hidden Valley. For a couple years.
What brought her to Portland and led her to meeting you?
Yeah, so my wife and I were both, when we met, like coming out of, okay, we want to do better for our lives. So she just had a number of things happen in Grants Pass where she's like, I don't want to be here around the same people and, kind of follow the same trajectory that the people that she was living around and friends and whatever were on. And so she went to Portland to live with her sister and go to PSU. And I grew up in Bend, Oregon, and I was coming out of getting sober and setting down the shovel that I was digging a hole for my life, and spent a little bit of time in Northern California in Sonoma, living with a friend, and then ended up moving to Portland with that friend and lived with some friends in Portland. And so when Elizabeth and I met, again, we both kind of connected on we're wanting to do things, differently. We're wanting to live healthier lives. We both were, starting to realize that, there's a healthier way to eat. There's a healthier way to live. And so anyways, we ended up meeting at a hip hop concert in Portland. And that was, one of those moments you look back on as like a divine appointment of, I decided to go, I discovered this group 2 weeks before the concert, and then happened to see that they were coming to Portland, and I bought 2 tickets last minute and had a friend, invited a friend to go with me. And then she skipped her class that night to go with some friends, and they were all over 21. So they were up in the bar area. She wasn't 21 yet. She was like 2 weeks before her 21st birthday. And so anyways, my friend that I was with went to use the restroom, and I like looked to see where he was going, and I saw her standing there by herself. And it was like not even a second like thought about it. I was like, I need to go introduce myself to her. And like no pickup line or anything, just hi, my name's John. And anyways, yeah, it was just, there's a movie that I really like called We Bought a Zoo. And there's a quote from that movie where he's like, sometimes all it takes is 30 seconds of courage that'll like radically change your life, right? Yep. And I look back on that moment as one of those. It was just like, again, I saw her and it was something in me, just knew I had to introduce myself to her. And then as she tells the story, we talked for a little bit, and then she kind of went to the back of the venue, and it started to get busier as like it was closer to the time that the main act was coming on, and the room started to fill up, and it started to become hot, and there was a bunch of sweaty guys around, and she was like, that guy's the least intimidating guy here, so I'm going to go back and find him. And so anyways, we hung out that night.
Skinny, white, tall, shaved head.
I did have a shaved head, and I was wearing a parental advisory sweater. So yeah.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
He looks like he couldn't hurt me. I'll go stand next to him.
Yeah.
That is funny. So correct me if I'm wrong, but how soon was it after that you guys started like dating and hanging out, and she took you to your job interview? And cause
yeah.
I do know some of the story, but
yeah. So she bought low, as we like to say.
That's a lie.
When we met, I didn't have a car. I would drive my roommate's car sometimes. I didn't have a job because when I moved to Portland, I did a few different jobs. But
where did this 30 seconds of confidence come from?
Just, that inside, she would say that like on paper, she was much better off than I was, but like inside, like character wise, that I had something to offer her, her words. And so, yeah, it's just like from my past, had a felony on my record that I thought I went through getting it expunged. And I was like apparently one paper short of having it off my record. And so I had a job that I was in the training period for, and I got called into the manager's office, and they were like, hey, we found this on your background. We gotta let you go. And so anyways, I went through the rest of the process of getting that fully expunged. It was for an ounce of weed, which for nowadays you get like a pat on the back for, but back then it was a felony. And so
crazy to think about.
Right? Life has changed quickly.
It's like people think of a felon, like, what did he do? Did he murder somebody? He's like, no, he just smoked
just
weed when I
over
was in
an
high
ounce
school.
of weed. Yeah. But anyway, so I was unemployed, didn't have a car, and anyway, so like 2 weeks after we met, we had our first date. I cooked her dinner, and then after that, she took me to my job interview for Twin City Painting that I worked for in Portland, and so she gets the credit for the start of my paint career. Definitely, she helped elevate me.
Where in the Twin City Painting job, when did you say, man, I got to start my own business. I got to start doing this on my own?
Yeah, so that's funny because I remember there was people who would ask me when I was working for them, are you going to start your own company? And my response was always no. Like that didn't interest me at all. So it was kind of funny. The first year took me a few houses to really get it down. And they
operate for exterior or interior? Exterior
only.
Okay.
Brush and roll only. And so it was kind of a unique painting company to work for. But I really enjoyed it. And they operated off of a budget system. So the faster you got the jobs done, the more money that you could make. And so it took me a few houses to get it down and beat our first budget. And then I got a couple of my roommates hired. And we ended up having a really good year as a crew. All three of us worked together. And like there was one budget, we did it in half the time that it was budgeted for. And like they were like, hey, you got to record all your hours. Like you can't like not record hours just to get the budget. And we were like, we just finished it in half the time that it was budgeted for. And so the second, and it was seasonal because it was exterior in Portland. So there's, a rainy season.
Long rainy season.
Yes. So the second year, so after that first year, I delivered pizzas or something for the winter. The second year, they brought me back as a manager of crews. And so I did that for a year. And then the third year, I was a manager again, but also got involved in like the hiring process and some of that. And so I got a lot of experience in that company, especially training crews. So that's like, and that has influenced the way that I run my company. I hire people that I like and want to work with, and then I can train the technical skills.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't train personality.
Right, or integrity, or being a decent human being. So, anyways, but that was, I just didn't have the vision to start my own painting company. And we did some other things in Portland. Spent some time in like an Amway business building mentorship program, which as much as we don't need to we don't do the Amway business anymore, but the mentors that we had in our life during that time were pivotal people for us, because Elizabeth and I were engaged, but we probably would have been one of those couples that got engaged and then had like a 5 to 10 year engagement. Like, we had to have the dream wedding, and we really had no like faith background to be like, okay, we should get married and start a family and do it God's way. But getting around these mentors, we learned things like how to handle our finances and how to run a budget. And we got around people that had healthy marriages and healthy families. And then we learned that like all of these people had a faith in Jesus. And we went to a convention through this mentorship group, and John Maxwell was doing a Sunday service. And we knew so little that it said non-denominational service. And we thought that just meant like it was like not Christian, not anything, like, not focused on any sort of religion. And so we went, and then we both ended up answering the altar call. And so we both came to faith through this organization and this mentorship. And so, yeah, it was very impactful time of our life. And then from there, we went and lived on a farm in Yoncalla. Yeah.
You're good.
So you ended up living on a farm in Yoncalla?
Yeah, so we ended up not doing that business anymore, and during our time in Portland, we started getting food from a farm in Yoncalla, and developed a relationship with these farmers, and they invited us to come intern and live on the farm and learn. It was a raw dairy, regenerative farming, grass-fed beef, pigs, chickens, and it took some time, but we ended up leaving Portland and going to live there for a year and a half. And then when that came to an end, we moved to Grants Pass. And it was right around the time that we moved to Grants Pass where we were talking about, okay, like we've had a lot of change in our life the last few years. Like, what is our plan? Like, what is our vision? We want to buy a home someday. We have a kid now. And that's where the talks of starting my own painting business really started. And we pretty much made the decision right away that would be what we would pursue. And then it took about 6 months to a year before I started my company. So
when I met you, you were like just stopped working at Hearts with a Mission. Were you working at Hearts with a Mission while you started your business, or?
No. So through the moving from Portland to a farm where we didn't get paid and we had a kid, like we basically exhausted our savings. Like we didn't really have a savings when we moved to Grants Pass. And we moved in with Elizabeth's mom for a little bit, and then onto her dad's property, lived in a trailer with a newborn. And so I knew that I just needed a job, a paycheck. And so that's where I got connected with Hearts with a Mission and worked there for about 6 months. But knowing that eventually the goal was to start my own painting company. And so about after 6 or 7 months of working at Hearts with a Mission, we were caretaking for Elizabeth's dad, and then her grandma needed some help, and so we moved her onto the property. And between caretaking for both of them, I stepped away from Hearts with a Mission, and was just at home helping take care of them for a couple months, I think is all it was. And then when her grandma moved away from the property, that's when it was like, okay, now's the time to start my painting company. And my first job was actually for Brendan Massa. They just...
I didn't know that.
Is it Massa?
Massa.
I thought it was Massa.
Nope. I don't know. He can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And so they had just bought a house, and Rebecca,
Was that the house in Colonial Valley?
yeah.
Okay.
So his wife posted on Facebook, hey, we need a painter like ASAP. Elizabeth reached out, said, hey, my husband's starting his own company. So I got that job and started from there.
Was that the one that was a pool deck? Or what was it? What was the job for Brennan?
No, that wasn't that one. This was just interior painting. Yep. They were just getting it ready to move in.
Dude, it's crazy like how many jobs you did for people I knew. Because you painted an interior for, I think, this very sweet couple named Carol and Larry out in Maryland off a Monument.
Yeah.
And then I was like doing landscaping for them for like years. So crazy. That's just like I don't
Small
know.
town.
Yeah.
Yep.
It is. Was that one of your first jobs too, or no?
Yeah, that was probably the first year.
Yeah.
That was a big job, like full interior, a bunch of cabinets and everything.
They told us they're like, John definitely bit off more than he could chew, but he's doing a great job, and we could tell it's taking weeks longer than he thought, but it looks phenomenal. So.
That was like a 4 or 5 week project, probably.
Oh my god.
Well, it was like a full interior repaint on like a 2,000 square foot home by yourself.
Brush and roll, even the cabinets.
Yeah, it looked great though.
Yeah.
I remember seeing it, but man.
Yeah, those
Awesome
are fun to like go back, because I've been over there recently, and to go back and see, and just like it puts you right back in that place of like, I was in this house before they moved in. It was just me.
5 years ago or something.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years ago. It was just me there for weeks, and you have memories of like podcasts that you listen to, or like music that you were listening to during that time. And yeah, that's a unique time where you're just like, it's you.
It's almost like a little time capsule.
Totally. It's you doing everything in the business. So it's like, okay, I bid the job, I do the entire job, and it's, in a way, it was a very simple time.
Yeah, so dude, we think about that all the time. Like back to the first projects we did when there was like no payroll, no workman's comp, no safe, whatever that is. And man, like
Nobody asking you 30,000 questions about one job.
I'm not getting 15 phone calls a day about how do I build this or paint this or.
Yep.
But I mean, the position we're in, I'm very grateful for. Like I wouldn't want to go back to that, but man, it was easier. So. I'm curious. So now that like you've been in business for quite a while, like I'd say that you're kind of past the what like most stats would say, like most small businesses fail before 5 years. You're in your 6th year, correct?
Mm-hmm.
What were some of the big like failures that you had in your business, and like how have you kind of fixed those?
Yeah. Well, they're all learning, experiences, and thankfully, again, grace of God, I haven't made any mistakes that have crushed me or ruined me. And so, first things is pricing. How the heck do you price a job? And realizing that I can't price it as low as, I felt comfortable pricing it. And, there's that struggle of, I don't want people to think that I'm being greedy or like price something way too, and it's just like ridiculously low, what I did some of those jobs for. But it's learning like, okay, I can charge this much per hour. But then when you realize, well, the gas that I drove over in the truck, the materials, all the equipment that I used for the job, that's not supposed to come out of that. Like the business needs to make money, and then I get paid from the business, not I make money and then pay for the, products and materials out of my, So it's just figuring those things out. And then when you add employees, it's,
Just multiplies all of that.
Totally. Yeah. It's training. It's, do I have the right people on the job? Are they able to work when I'm not watching their every move? Do they know what they're doing? Am I putting somebody that's going to do the right thing on the job? And then like growth, my third year, I got up to 9 employees, 7 full-time, 2 part-time. And that was just a crazy summer for a lot of reasons, because I was still figuring out my bidding processes. And so I did like some bids that maybe if it was me and one of my best guys on it, we could have done it in that time frame. But then realizing like the employees that I have on it, they're still learning. They're not as fast as I am. They don't do things in the same order and efficiency that I would do them, but I can't be there doing the work and bidding and overseeing my employee. I can't do all of that. And so it wasn't a bad summer as far as we did a lot of cool projects, like projects that I still love to show off in our portfolio or for advertisement.
Victorian homes.
Yeah,
That's exactly what I was thinking.
We did some of those, like we did some of the biggest jobs. It was like 3 of the biggest jobs that I've ever done all happened during the same time frame of that summer. And it was just like, it was chaos.
Yeah.
And again, we turned out good work. We got good reviews. We got good projects for the portfolio. But at the end of that, just being like, I don't want to do that again. So the next year, going to 4 employees and having it be much more manageable, having, realizing it's like, okay, we could just do this. Like, we don't have to just grow for growth's sakes. And so I think a lot of it is like, as a business owner, you get to design and decide what success looks like for you. Mm-hmm. Like, what type of business are you trying to build? Is it a lifestyle business where it is going to be you and maybe a couple helpers and, it pays for the life that you want to live? Are you trying to grow a business that you don't have to do the day in and day out, technician stuff of, doing all the painting or doing all the demo or hanging all the drywall or whatever it is. Yeah. And then you have to design your business, like all of it has to work towards that goal, your pricing, your org chart, your how many employees you have. And so just figuring all of that. And I feel like I have more clarity on that, but there's also like, you're always working towards bettering and figuring stuff out and, working towards what is possible. And just like anything, the more that you know and the more that you experience, you start to realize, oh, there's a lot more that I need to, learn or pay attention to the numbers, pay attention to the cash flow, pay attention to the financial forecasting. Am I staying on top of getting enough leads? How's my marketing? Like, it doesn't necessarily get easier. It just, the challenges look different.
I'm curious what your biggest marketing tool is, and like, what do you think draws the majority of your leads? Like, is it really just reviews? Is it Google? Is it, word of mouth? Or
Yeah. So I've just started looking more at those. I've just kind of, so that year that I hired employees, when I hired you, I just knew, okay, I'm adding employees. I don't just have me and 1 employee now. I have 4 employees, so I need to have enough work to keep them busy. Yeah. So I reached out and hired a marketing agency that built me a website.
Is that scary?
It wasn't necessarily scary. It was more of a step of faith, just because I knew this would be good. Did I have to put the, initial payments on a credit card? Yeah. But so yeah, it's a step of faith. And it's the same thing when I hired a business coach. It was like during the middle of winter and I had like close to $0 in my bank account, and I go to Elizabeth, my wife, and like thinking of hiring a business coach that's $1,500 a month. And it's like, okay, like that's a step of faith, right? And yet I know that with this investment and with learning new things and doing things differently, we can achieve the goals that we want to have. And so all that to say that, my biggest marketing tools are a mix of Google. So Google local services ads has been a big one for me. And that's, we show up right at the top of Google when somebody searches for a painter. Having a website where, you're on the first page of Google, because nobody's going to go to the 3rd or 5th page to find your website. Facebook has been a good marketing tool. Started running Facebook ads last year, and that was pretty effective. And then the other one is just word of mouth. Like, if I look at my leads, it's probably a little bit less than Google and Facebook. But if I look at my sales, word of mouth is the highest, because you have that kind of built-in trust, and people appreciate, you did a good job for their friend, and now they're needing their exterior painted, so they trust you to do a good job for them.
Yeah.
I'm interested, what's the most difficult thing about not owning a painting business, but actually physically painting besides like weather constraints?
Mm-hmm. The most difficult thing, it's a good question. There's things that, like getting up on a roof and getting the tallest parts of houses and being on a 40-foot ladder. And dude, I remember when I started painting, like the first week at Twin City Painting, I woke up, so we did 6-day work weeks there, so Monday through Saturday. I woke up on Sunday and I couldn't open my hands.
Oh man.
Like, it took me a while to like loosen them up, because they were just working muscles that I hadn't worked in that way, between holding the roller poles and doing a lot of brush work. And that summer, like my shoulder, you get a shoulder workout. Sometimes you have a 16-foot extension pole and you're, rolling up second story siding. So again, I come from a brush and roller background. And so if you have a 2-story, 3-story house and you've got a row of box soffits, you got to get up there with a tall ladder, and you got to roll out these soffits. Yeah. And cut in the trim and gutter while the fascia board and gutter while you're up there. So you're bringing 2 buckets up the ladder, because you want to be efficient, right? This is how we beat budgets, is this type of efficiency. Like, I'm not gonna go all the way up the ladder with 1 bucket, come all the way down, get the other one. It's like, I'm gonna bring both of these up, reach as far as I possibly can, and then move over and get the next section. Obviously we've incorporated spraying as one of our methods.
Has that increased your productivity, your efficiency, and your money?
Yeah, there's still jobs. Yeah, there's still
sure.
jobs that I think it could go either way. Like, we could roll some jobs faster than we could mask and spray everything. Yep. So I think it's important. I think it's good to have both skill sets. And I have painters that are good at both skill sets. But absolutely, there's jobs that just for sure are more efficient to spray. And obviously, working for a company that kind of they prided themselves on not using sprayers ever, and it being a superior paint job. Like, I understand, as technologies change, that there's a way to provide a quality paint job with sprayers too. So it's like, I think having both arsenals to work with is important. And so I'm glad that I have people working for me that are much better sprayers than I am or will ever be, right? They have a lot more experience
I don't think you ever want to be a good sprayer.
No, I know that there's been a couple where you're like, here, take this and spray this. And I've done it, and I can do it. But again, it's like, that's not what I do.
What do you hate more, though, the spraying or the masking? Because I've seen you get in a fight with a couple of maskers.
Masking is not my friend. No. Drywall and masking, I will gladly never do.
I remember having a job that you subbed out to us that was a 2-story house. And we're on the back side of the house, and me and Ben are just standing there like, I have to mask that, and then I have to get an extension ladder in between these plants and paint it.
Yep. Did you guys end up doing that or rolling it?
We sprayed it.
We sprayed it, yeah. Yep.
That was a fun job. That was a nice house.
Yeah, that one had dormers on the roof too. So I'm on the roof hanging off the fascia board while spraying the dormers. Mm-hmm. And then I get to the other side, and I'm like, there's a 40-foot chimney. I'm like, okay. So I'm gonna climb in the second story, climb up, hold onto the roof while shooting the chimney, while shielding it. You know what I mean? Because I'm not gonna just spray mask in. Some part of the chimney's too hot, which I learned on. I don't know if we ever told you about that. Josh knows what I'm talking about. We were painting a house on the north side of town. And you, at this point, had like a couple guys that were still learning. So I was like teaching them how to spray and how to mask. And it ended up being like, hey, can you guys turn off this light? We're going to get ready to spray. And like, I don't want the light to interfere with the masking.
I know what house that was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I
no.
masked the light, went up in flames right away. And I was like pouring water on it. And
Yep. That was the Aspire house.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did I tell you about that?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, that was super awkward.
There
was
was
like,
another
freaking out.
story from that project. What did you step in?
Yeah, dude, I stepped. They clearly said, I forgot about that. They clearly said, do not walk over these like planks of wood. What did I step in? A septic tank?
It was like a septic tank.
Yeah, yeah. I was mad.
Oh man.
My shoe was soaked. My pants were soaked. Like, Sean was just dying of laughter. He was like, yeah, don't step. Okay, well.
Yeah.
Man, I didn't like that project. It looked pretty good, though. It turned out pretty good.
For sure.
Going back to that other project that we did, while Ben was spraying those dormers on the roof, they had a power outage, and we were spraying. So I had to back up my truck and run the sprayer off of my truck while my truck's just getting covered in overspray.
Oh man, that is a nice part of brush and rolling. You don't have to worry about overspray.
Yeah,
Especially doing like roof sections. Like, have you guys ever had? I mean, you don't have to talk about the project, but have you guys ever got a little overspray on the roof before?
Yeah.
Yeah, we ended up having
It
to
can be a
send someone
problem.
out to a job to get overspray off a roof, and he ended up like having to find a spray paint that matched the
Yeah.
architectural shingles to like paint over it, because you're not like you can't just scrub
can't
the
scrub it,
shingles, so
no.
you're just
No,
gonna
that
take the
makes it
granules
worse.
off.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
What do you do, dude?
What I've seen is you have to like as soon as you know that it's oversprayed, you have to soak a towel in like paint remover and soak it into the shingles. Yeah. And then,
For the record, this has never happened on any of our jobs.
No.
Just theoretically, we've heard
Yeah.
about these things.
Used to work for a paint company, not yours, but out of Medford, and we're like spraying this house and shooting it, and I'm like, hey, you just got overspray all over their bushes that they clearly asked us to put plastic over, and so like now all their green bushes have white speckles. She goes, hold on, I have an idea. I've come across this before, and I actually keep something in my truck. I'm thinking like, she got a pump spray, like what is? Comes back with a green can of spray paint. She spray paints all the bushes.
That's
Homeowner never said anything, but I'm like, surely the spray paint just like killed those bushes. I don't know.
And you did hear, for anybody listening, that was not my company. That was a
Not
company
good
out of
entertaining.
Medford.
Hey, that I didn't do any of that. That wasn't me, but that was a company I used to work for.
Yes.
But,
That's too funny.
dude, it wasn't even the same shade of green. Like I was like, this is awful.
Oh, my plant looks so much better than it did.
It's looking a little bit more lively. Yeah.
What'd you guys do, man? That's
So what's something that you would tell someone starting their own business?
That's a good question. Somebody starting their own business, I think that you need to have tested your idea. You need to have done it before. You need to have something that is of value, that is going to be desirable and help people. So I don't think just have a harebrained idea and go do it is necessarily always the best idea. Has that worked for people? I'm sure it has. But if you can work a job that pays your bills and then test out your business idea on the side, like you guys did, great. Make some money doing it. Get some projects under your, assuming it's trades, get some project under your belt and, learn some of the lessons, figure out some of the pricing, figure out the skills and then, I think that we live in a time where the information is not going to be the problem. There's not a lack of information on how to start a business or business practices. But for me, I was a painter that started a painting company and then had to learn business. I've also seen people by going to like coaching events or the Painting Contractors Association's Expo. You see people who are just business people who know how to hire out a salesperson, hire out a project manager, hire, subcontractors, people who know how to paint and they know how to build a business, but they don't know how to paint a house,
yeah.
right? And I've seen them be very successful too. So yeah, I think that owning a business can be a very valuable life experience. So there's a great book called Doing Business God's Way, which just talks about the way that it helps shift your perspective, that the challenges and the struggles that you face in growing a business or running a business are all ways that God uses to grow you, right? And he's creating a character in you. So that's why I can hold my business with open hands. And obviously I want to be faithful to what God has put before me. And I want to, make the most of the investment that I put into my business and grow it to be a blessing to this community and provide opportunities for people to have jobs, and provide a really great service to people. But I also know that the lessons that I've learned through running this business and building relationships in the community and building relationships with people that do similar work, all those things are things that are going to go with me no matter what's next.
Yeah.
No matter whether I run this for 30 years and it becomes like a legacy business, or if this all goes away and God moves me somewhere else, the character, the lessons that I've learned, the growth that he has caused in me is going to go with me, right? And so do a good job. I operate my business off of 3 principles, like any good pastor would do. They're all start with P's. The first one is people. The people are the most important part of any project that we do. And that's the people that work for me, but also the people that we're working for, right? So I want to treat the people right and do right by them and just, again, build relationships. Number 2 is the project. So we're going to do what's needed to get that project done and do it well. There's been many projects that have gone way over budget, but you're not going to start cutting corners. You're not going to walk away from it. You're going to get the project done and you're going to chalk it up as a learning lesson, right? And then number 3 is profit, because if you want to be around as a business, you need to be profitable. That's why you can't be necessarily the cheapest option, right? If we provide a great service and a great quality product, people are going to want us to stick around, and we have to be profitable to do that. But it's in that order, because if it was profit first, then we would make decisions that weren't best for the people and weren't best for the project. But it's people, project, profit.
It's kind of the idea that you can't have all 3. You can't have a project that's fast, done cheap, and good quality work. You have to pick 2. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, I like that. Getting to the end here, do you have any kind of final statements or anything you'd like to say?
Appreciate you guys. It's this friendship is fun. Just doing life with people. We have a breakfast that we do every Wednesday that Josh, if Ben ever lets you off the job site,
I've
please let me go,
before.
please.
You're welcome to, or maybe put Ben out there one day and you can join us. But it's just fun to do life as a community of like-minded people, and see what God is doing in your life, see what you're doing in your business, see what you're excited about, and I can share the same thing with you guys, and that collaborative spirit and that friendship and that community is super important to me. It's fun. BNI, same thing. We meet every Friday with a group of business owners, and we just get to know more about each other and what each other does and how we can help each other. And that's been a rich experience for me over the last 18 months or so. And so, yeah, I think overall, whatever it is you're doing, do it with friends, do it with people, and life is a lot more fun and full with those relationships.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you want to say to wrap up, Josh?
I think this was just a good podcast, getting to know you. I haven't hung out with you too much, so it's cool to know your background and everything. So
yeah, I appreciated watching your podcast.
Yeah.
Get to know a little bit of your story.
This has
as well.
the most views so far, so
still being the shortest.
it could be
one,
that
yeah.
it's only 13 minutes long, and not everyone has the attention span
Well,
to watch a 45-minute interview.
We'll have to do
but-
that one again.
Yeah,
I think so.
yeah. Once we get some more podcasts under our belt, I will
Ben,
say,
do you-
John. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, do you have any closing statements?
Yeah, I will say I really appreciate you as a friend, and you mean a lot to me, and you've impacted my life in a lot of ways that I will never forget. You were a groomsman at my wedding. Josh was the best man. Like our friendship, our relationship that we have means a lot to me, and I look up to you in a lot of ways. So I really appreciate God putting you in my life. So thank you.
It's awesome. And I was there as a backup in case something happened to Josh where you couldn't fulfill your duties as the best man. I was there just in case. But you did a great job.
Yeah.
Like just in case one of your
Okay,
crutches went missing
Yeah.
or, you got in a mysterious car accident on the way.
Uh-huh.
But you did a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you want to try our ending statement, Josh?
Yeah. If I'm blanking on actually.
Yeah. The world is full of nice people. If you can't find one, be one.